hydration is super, super important for our athletes, right? Our body is primarily made up of water, and so it needs that fluidity to keep our muscles moving and our joints not from overriding each other. So that hydration is super important no matter what, if you're an athlete or not. I think the percentage is like 72% our body's made up of water. And so we always are talking about that hydration. Signs of dehydration can include like fatigue on the field. We can lose that hand-eye coordination. It's really great for our peripherals. So if we're on the line, we can't see as a receiver maybe our right tackle to the left of us. Or if we've got a receiver going down the field, he needs to have multiple ways of eyesight and clear consciousness. And that's kind of what hydration does. It does a lot more than just making sure the body is hydrated. It has a lot to do with our brain coordination too. And so that's one thing that we really push a lot. And so we're trying to make sure that they're drinking and hydrating all throughout the day. So wherever there's food, there's always going to be hydration for us. Right. And so hydration is not just water. It's not just Gatorade. There's Propel, milk are also a part of fluids. So we count that as well. But there can also be an extent of how much and when to take hydration as well. Through fall camp is one of our biggest times that we push hydration like it's nobody's business. They are losing a lot of weight in one single practice. I've seen up to 10 pounds in a practice before. And we do hydration testing for that reason. And so if someone's losing a certain amount of pound during a practice, they need to replenish exactly what they normally would drink, plus an extra like 16 ounces for each pound lost. And some guys look at me like, oh, so I just need to drink maybe 8 bottles of water a day. I'm like, no, that's in addition, maybe to what you're losing just to maintain that weight so you don't increase your risk of injury the next day. That's how important hydration is.
Yeah. Can you sort of walk us through some of the tactics that you use to measure out how much fluid they actually need to intake?
Yep. So depending upon when we're in season or out of season we'll use Gatorade. They have a sweat patch, the GX patch. We'll use that. We stick it right onto the forearm and it collects their sweat at the same time that it collects their sodium analysis. And so sodium, that's the primary electrolyte that we lose in our sweat. And that's the one that we primarily replenish with as well. There's 4 other main ones, but this is the top one that we lose and that we're curious in looking at replenishing. So once we, take this patch off of a guy in practice, which is very rigorous testing, I will say it took 2 people to do 2 athletes an entire practice, 2-hour practice. It's tracking exactly when and what they ate, when and how much they drank during the practice. Did they have to use the restroom? Did they lose those fluids as well? And then just, tracking humidity of that practice, that all goes into all of the hydration testing. And then we come out with a number of how much sodium they lost in a single typical practice, essentially. And then we can look back at that and set up a full hydration plan, just like as we would nutrition.
And how do you go about implementing them?
So based on previous knowledge or in practice, what we see as far as people or guys who are prone to cramping or are very heavy sweaters, or maybe they're a key guy on the field, that's when we'll say, okay, we're going to test him, or they're just going to get these amounts of fluids type of thing. So we as the professionals down here, so to come from myself and our athletic trainer, we kind of look at who those guys are, and that's who we'll test, or that's who will have a specific plan. Or if, we had a transfer come in last year who came and said that he had issues with cramping. He kind of went into that protocol for us. that, all right, you're going to get these type of electrolytes. Here's, what your hydration plan is going to kind of look like. And then ended up being a key player for us as well. So it's like, we got to stay on him on the hydration.
Mm.
Maybe it's not nutrition, because sometimes it's not just food. Sometimes it's just hydration for some of these guys.
What kind of electrolytes do you recommend for athletes and people in sport?
Yeah. The easiest and cheapest one is you could just add table salt to water. It's going to taste like salty water, but it does the trick. You could add in coconut water for different key electrolytes. You can kind of make your own concoctions with that and juice and salt. Or you can go the expensive route, and you could buy like Drip Drop is what we provide to the guys. So it's a salt pack. It's about 600, 700 milligrams of sodium in there. Very tasteful. We go through them like it's crazy around here. But the guys know that they need to replenish their electrolytes, so they're going to double up on them. And I'm good with that. We also provide a thing called the Right Stuff. And so it's just a small little pouch, liquid pouch, maybe an ounce or 2 ounces worth. And they just squirt that in their mouth. And that's about 1,700 milligrams of sodium, which for some people, that's over half of someone's daily value. And so as a dietitian, I have to know that that's over half of my daily intake. They are not a regular individual. They're not the recommended that the Academy of Nutrition Dietetics is recommending, or the National Health Institute is recommending. These are athletes we're talking about. They probably, the numbers that I've done on hydration testing, they lose what I need to take in my day.